In the cozy neighborhood of Maplewood Lane, Karen was known for her keen eye for detail. She took great pride in her own home, which was painted in cheerful colors and adorned with charming decorations. Every flower in her garden was perfectly placed, and she often rearranged her porch furniture until it met her exacting standards. It wasn't just a house to her, it was a reflection of who she was. However, not everyone shared Karen's enthusiasm for home aesthetics. Her neighbor, Tom, had recently moved in and hung dark curtains over his windows. While he loved the privacy they provided, Karen saw them as a blot on the neighborhood's cheerful landscape. "They make his house look gloomy and uninviting," Karen would often exclaim to anyone who would listen. With arms crossed and a frown that became very familiar to the neighbors, she would point out how the dreary curtains cast a shadow over the otherwise bright street. "It's like living next to a haunted house," she insisted at the local book club meeting, eliciting giggles and nods of agreement from her friends. Despite the laughter, Tom remained blissfully unaware of Karen's grumbling thoughts about his curtains. He enjoyed his new home and had no plans to change anything soon. Little did he know that his choice of window coverings had turned into a neighborhood talking point thanks to Karen's outspoken opinions. And it was this very complaint that sparked something mischievous in Tom's mind, a playful idea that could turn what he saw as simply a design choice into an uproarious prank. But first, he needed to understand just how fierce and amusingly overdramatic Karen could truly be when riled up about something she disliked. Tom had always been the kind of person who valued laughter and joy. With a friendly smile, he greeted neighbors as he moved into his new home on Maplewood Lane. He was quick to notice Karen's meticulous tendencies, especially when it came to her opinions about everyone else's homes. Instead of feeling annoyed by her comments on his dark curtains, Tom found them hilarious. Sitting on his porch one sunny afternoon, sipping iced lemonade, he chuckled to himself as he imagined Karen shaking her head in disapproval while adjusting her garden gnomes. "She really thinks those curtains are ruining the neighborhood," he mused with a grin. To him, moving into a house with dark curtains was simply a way to keep his privacy while enjoying cozy evenings indoors. As days passed, Tom entertained the idea of turning Karen's scornful remarks into something humorous. He wasn't about to change his curtains just because she thought they looked gloomy. Instead, he decided to playfully poke fun at the situation. Tom believed that laughter could bridge different viewpoints, and he wondered if he could introduce a bit of fun into their interactions. Inspiration struck him one night while watching a comedy show. What if he created custom window stickers featuring an exaggerated version of Karen's grumpy face photoshopped onto various spooky creatures? The thought made him burst out laughing. Images of Karen as a vampire, gargoyle, and bat danced in his mind like characters from a comic book. Why not? Tom thought, excitement bubbling up inside him. This prank wouldn't just lighten the mood, it would show Karen that sometimes, humor was the best way to deal with complaints. With determination and a playful spirit, he decided to make this idea happen and see how Karen would respond when her own grumpiness became part of the joke. Tom couldn't help but giggle as he imagined the designs for his prank. He envisioned Karen's grumpy face, complete with her signature frown and furrowed brow, transformed into various spooky creatures. The first idea that sprang to mind was a vampire, with long fangs and a dramatic cape, perfectly capturing her disapproving expression. He could almost hear her voice saying, "That's ridiculous," as he worked on the design. Next, he thought of a gargoyle. The sturdy stone figure always seemed to scowl, much like Karen did when she spotted something she didn't like. He imagined her features cleverly blended into the gargoyle's face, giving it an amusing twist that would surely make anyone passing by burst into laughter. Tom grinned at the thought of how shocked she would be to see herself as a mystical creature sitting on the edge of his window. Lastly, Tom decided to create a bat, with its wings spread wide and a cheeky grin that echoed Karen's usual seriousness. The idea of depicting her as a bat was hilarious. It added an extra layer of fun since bats are often associated with darkness and mystery, just like her complaints about his curtains. With each design completion, Tom felt more excited about this playful project. He pulled out his laptop and started to manipulate photos, carefully blending Karen's features onto each creature. It took some time to get everything just right, but finally, he had 3 perfect stickers ready to be printed. As he prepared to place the stickers behind the dark curtains in his living room, Tom couldn't wait for the night when they would light up dramatically. This wasn't just a prank, it was a way to bring joy and laughter back into their neighborhood while reminding Karen not to take things so seriously. Once the stickers were printed and cut out, Tom was eager to set his plan in motion. As evening approached, he took a moment to admire his handiwork. Each sticker truly brought an amusing twist to Karen's serious expression. He carefully placed them behind the thick, dark curtains in his living room, ensuring they were aligned just right for optimal visibility. The anticipation bubbled inside him as he imagined what it would be like when the lights were turned on. The magic of the prank lay in its timing. Once night fell and Tom flicked on the living room lights, the funny images of Karen's face would come to life. The darkness outside would serve as a perfect backdrop, making the stickers stand out in a delightfully spooky way. As he adjusted the last sticker, Tom chuckled at the thought of Karen's reaction when she finally saw her own grumpy face staring back at her as a vampire, gargoyle, and bat. With everything set up, he stepped back to admire the arrangement one last time. The whole scene was not only entertaining but also brilliantly mischievous. Finally, night fell over Maplewood Lane. Tom waited eagerly for dusk to turn into full darkness. When the sky finally deepened into night, he flipped the switch, illuminating his living room with warm light. Suddenly, the familiar figure sprang to life behind the curtains. The vibrant colors of the stickers glowed eerily against the dark fabric, creating a haunting yet comical tableau. With each flicker of light reflecting off the stickers, Tom could hardly contain his excitement. This wasn't just a joke, it was a playful reminder that sometimes a little laughter could lighten even the sternest of hearts. He sat back on his couch, waiting for the neighborhood around him to take notice of the hilariously glorious surprise hidden within his window. As the sun began to sink below the horizon, Tom could hardly contain his excitement. The sky transformed from bright blue to shades of orange and purple, signaling that nightfall was near. Tom paced around his living room, glancing repeatedly out the window to check if Karen was outside. He hoped to catch a glimpse of her before the big reveal. With each passing moment, his anticipation grew. He imagined countless scenarios. Would she laugh? Would she be angry? Or maybe she'd find it so ridiculous that she'd just roll her eyes. Either way, he knew that the expression on her face would be priceless. It was more than just a prank, it was a light-hearted way to shake up the seriousness that often surrounded Karen's opinions. Tom settled onto the edge of his couch, fidgeting with excitement as twilight deepened into night. He thought about all the times he had overheard Karen discussing her dislike for his curtains, how her voice had become almost a theme in their neighborhood. Gloomy and uninviting, she would say emphatically, and each time he chuckled to himself at how passionate she was about something so trivial. As darkness wrapped around Maplewood Lane, Tom couldn't help but feel like a kid waiting for Christmas morning. He glanced at the clock, just a few more minutes. He practiced how he would react when Karen inevitably faced her own grumpy face staring back at her as a vampire or gargoyle. Would he burst out laughing? Would he mockingly ask if she felt inviting enough? Finally, the moment arrived. With heart racing and hands slightly trembling, he clicked on the light switch. The warm glow filled the room and illuminated the stickers behind the curtains. Tom's breath caught in his throat as he waited for someone, preferably Karen, to pass by and see the outrageous sight unveiled. This was it, the moment he had been waiting for. As the moon hung high in the night sky, casting a silvery glow over Maplewood Lane, Karen stepped outside to water her plants. She had just finished her evening routine when she noticed an unusual flicker of light coming from Tom's house. Her eyes narrowed in curiosity as she turned to look more closely. The dark curtains were illuminated from within, creating an almost eerie effect that piqued her interest. What's going on over there?" she murmured to herself, a hint of suspicion creeping into her mind. The lights inside Tom's home danced behind the curtains, forming shapes that shifted and moved in a peculiar way. It was unlike anything she had seen before. As Karen took a few cautious steps closer, confusion washed over her. She squinted, trying to decipher the strange forms glowing against the fabric. Suddenly, a sharp gasp escaped her lips as the shapes transformed into hauntingly familiar figures. Her face morphed into a vampire with sharp fangs and a dramatic cape. Her heart raced as panic settled in. It was followed by disbelief as she recognized herself as a gargoyle and then a bat, all posing grotesquely behind Tom's curtains. "No way! Is this some sort of joke?" she exclaimed, feeling both shocked and slightly terrified. The blend of feelings was overwhelming. Part of her wanted to laugh at how ridiculous it looked, but the other part felt genuinely frightened. The ghostly light cast shadows around her garden, making everything seem more sinister than usual. Karen took a step back, eyeing Tom's house with a mix of horror and fury. While she had always been outspoken about his curtains looking gloomy, this was beyond anything she could have imagined. She couldn't believe that the guy next door would dare to turn her grumpy expressions into something so eerie and comical. What had started as annoyance quickly shifted to a bubbling fury. She was determined to confront him about this outrageous prank. As Karen stood fuming at Tom's house, the bright glow from the stickers began to attract the attention of other neighbors on Maplewood Lane. Curious glances quickly turned into laughter as more residents gathered outside to witness the spectacle. "Oh my gosh, look at that," one neighbor exclaimed, pointing and giggling. The sight of Karen's grumpy face transformed into a vampire was too much for them to handle. Another neighbor clutched her stomach as she doubled over with laughter. "That's the best thing I've seen in ages." Word spread quickly, and soon a small crowd formed on the street, each person eager for a view of the hilarious display. Some pulled out their phones to snap pictures, while others playfully made jokes about how spooky Karen looked as a gargoyle. Children joined in too, laughing uncontrollably as they poked fun at the silly images coming to life. Meanwhile, Karen's frustration continued to grow. She watched the laughter from her neighbors with disbelief. How could they find this funny? To her, it felt like a personal attack rather than harmless fun. The more she saw others enjoying themselves, the angrier she became. "Is this what it has come to?" she muttered under her breath, feeling both embarrassed and annoyed as Tom sauntered outside to join in the merriment. His grin was wide, clearly reveling in the joy his prank was bringing to everyone around him. "Hey everyone! Isn't Karen just delightful in these forms?" he called out playfully, causing another wave of laughter to ripple through the group. Karen couldn't stand it any longer. She stormed over toward Tom, determined to put an end to what she considered an outrageous mockery of her grumpy demeanor. As she approached him, her mind raced with all the witty comebacks and stern words she would unleash upon him for his mischievous antics. Karen marched across the yard, her heart pounding with a mix of annoyance and indignation. As she reached Tom, who was still basking in the laughter of the crowd, she couldn't contain herself any longer. "Tom," she called out, her voice sharp as a knife. He turned to meet her gaze, his grin unwavering. "Karen! Didn't you see how everyone loved it? You really made quite an impression tonight." "An impression? Is that what you call it?" Karen shot back, crossing her arms defiantly. "You've turned me into a laughingstock. I expected better from you." The humor began to fade in Tom's eyes as he realized Karen was genuinely upset. The laughter from the neighbors had started to quiet down, but the atmosphere still buzzed with excitement. "I thought it would lighten up the mood, and maybe give you a chance to smile about it." For a moment, Karen hesitated. She could see that Tom truly meant no harm. Despite her annoyance, deep down she had to admit there was a twisted brilliance in his creativity. "Okay, I'll give you credit," she finally said with a begrudging sigh. "The designs are very detailed. And yes, kind of funny." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Kind of funny? Just kind of? All right. It's hilarious," she relented with an exasperated laugh, shaking her head at herself. The corner of Tom's mouth twitched upward in satisfaction at her acknowledgement. "See? Laughter is the best medicine," he exclaimed playfully, trying to lighten the mood further. "Maybe for some," she replied with a smirk. But I have to draw the line when it starts making me look like a vampire." As they stood there together, one feigning anger and the other trying not to grin, Karen couldn't help but appreciate Tom's sense of humor and creativity even more. This encounter was turning into one she wouldn't forget anytime soon. In the days following the prank, the dynamic of Maplewood Lane shifted significantly. Word spread quickly about Tom's humorous display that featured Karen's grumpy face in a variety of amusing forms. Rather than being seen solely as the neighborhood's stern critic, Karen now wore a new badge of honor. She had become the "grumpy queen" of Maplewood. Neighbors would often chuckle when they saw her tending to her immaculate garden or rearranging her porch furniture. "Watch out for our local vampire," they'd tease good-naturedly, and Karen could no longer ignore the laughter. It was hard not to smile at how her reputation had evolved into something both endearing and comical. At first, she was irritated by the nickname. However, as time passed, she found herself embracing it more than expected. Children would ring her bell, asking if she could show them her gargoyle face. And although she was still serious about home aesthetics, Karen began to realize that a little humor could make even her most grumpy moments tolerable. Meanwhile, Tom enjoyed his newfound role as the neighborhood prankster. He embraced his playful reputation wholeheartedly, often coming up with new ideas to entertain the community. From Halloween decorations that matched his stickers to silly yard signs featuring exaggerated jokes about his neighbors, including one about Karen, he became a well-loved character on their street. Underneath their friendly rivalry lay an unspoken understanding. Both cherished the spirit of their community. As Tom continued to sprinkle laughter around Maplewood Lane and Karen started to lighten up, their relationship blossomed into a camaraderie built on respect for each other's quirks. The neighbors found joy in witnessing their exchanges and laughed together at every encounter. The vibrant mix of humor and seriousness turned Maplewood Lane into a lively haven where creativity flourished, reminding everyone that sometimes laughter truly is the best medicine. As the seasons changed and Maplewood Lane basked in the warmth of summer, Karen found herself chuckling every time she caught a glimpse of Tom's dark curtains. Although she still believed they made his house look gloomy and uninviting, she couldn't deny that their little prank had brightened her perspective on neighborhood life. One sunny afternoon, while she was pruning her roses, a group of children dashed by, giggling as they imitated her vampire face. Rather than scolding them as she once might have, Karen laughed along with them. All right. You got me," she called out, waving her scissors playfully in the air. It felt good to embrace the joke and let a bit of humor into her day. Meanwhile, Tom continued to stir up laughter with his playful antics. He decorated his yard with silly signs inviting people to visit the Grumpy Queen or meet the local vampire. Each humorous display served as a reminder that life doesn't always have to be serious. The light-hearted exchanges drew neighbors closer together, turning casual greetings into warm conversations filled with laughter. Though Karen still considered herself serious about home aesthetics, she began to appreciate that Tom's dark curtains, and everything they represented, had brought a new dimension of camaraderie to their community. Every night when Tom lit up his living room and the stickers glowed behind the curtains, it was like sharing an inside joke with everyone around. Karen couldn't help but smile when thinking about how far things had come. Her grumpy reputation had morphed into something fun and memorable. And while she might never fully embrace the dark curtains or admit it was all in good fun, deep down, she cherished the unexpected friendship that had blossomed from it. In a way, those spooky stickers had become a symbol of connection, reminding everyone on Maplewood Lane that laughter truly is the best way to brighten even the gloomiest days.